This holiday tradition is a hit every time we do it. In this episode, I'm going to share and address the question, what Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday traditions are favorites? You're going to see why this is one of our family's favorites, and also for our company employees and many of the youth that I mentor at youth detention centers and crisis centers, because I'm on a board of directors for teenage suicide prevention, and this is powerful. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've been a financial strategist, a retirement planning specialist for more than 4.5 decades. But I also teach people how to live an abundant life. And so through the years, I have developed more than 20 exercises, tools, I call them. Some of these tools people use on a regular basis, maybe daily or weekly. They're like on their tool belt. Others are tools they use maybe once a month or once a quarter. That's like in a tool box. Other tools are once a year, like a tool shed. And so this is one of our favorites that we do usually during the Thanksgiving weekend or sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas or New Year's. And I'm going to share with you how powerful this is. This is a copy of the tool. And at the end, you will have the ability to download a complimentary PDF of this tool with the link that I give you. So it's called the Gratitude Amplifier. And whenever I do this, it only takes a few minutes, and depending upon how you choose to go around and share, and I'll give you examples and tell you stories of this, it's one of the most powerful ways to get people to focus on what's going right in their life instead of what's going wrong, and develop an attitude of gratitude. And so as we proceed, I'm going to explain how this works. There's 3 columns on this page, and we have the participants in our family, usually during Thanksgiving dinner, write down at least 10 things they're grateful for, but what do they write in the second and third column? That's the most powerful part of this whole exercise. So I'm going to explain how we do this in our family and how I've done this with young men and young women who are in boys and girls home and crisis centers, and their parents and the staff members are like flabbergasted at what comes out of these troubled youth in less than 15 minutes that they've been trying to get out of them for 2 and 3 weeks. So stay with me. So let's talk about how the Gratitude Amplifier works and how you set it up. And then I'll talk later about different settings and how to go around and share. So on this 8.5 by 11 form, and you can download a copy of this PDF at the end, I'll give you a link. There are 3 columns as you see here. So I'm going to go over here to the screen, and you'll see column number 1 has about 10 lines. And this is where I pass this out at Thanksgiving dinner, or when I do it with the boys and girls home, we have an etiquette dinner at a restaurant, and we do it in all kinds of different settings. And I'll usually ask them to write down 10 things or people that they are grateful for. Now, a lot of times they sit there and they're trying to think, and I'm going to show you next how you can help them understand maybe categories. But this is amplifying the list over here because what I do is I have my participants write down what and then why. Why are you grateful for this person or this thing? And then over here is how. How are you going to show gratitude in a letter? You're going to visit them or what have you. So this is what you're grateful for, why you're grateful, and how you're going to show gratitude for that person or for that thing. Now, as I indicated, many times when I mentor troubled youth, they have a hard time thinking unless I give them categories or ideas. So here is a sample list. I will say, write down a living person that you're grateful for, a person who has died, a physical ability that you're grateful for, a material possession, something in nature, a place on earth, a modern day invention, a particular food, your home or place of abode, and God, the universe, a higher power, whatever your beliefs are. Now they start writing. And I'll share some stories with you here in just a moment. But as they go through and they begin to write down what they're grateful for, they might write down my mother, my grandfather. I like to ski cross country. I love a digital camera. That's my modern day invention. Plants and flowers. That's something in nature. Botanical gardens. That's a place on earth. The microchip, a modern day invention. Korean cuisine would be a particular food. Our cabin retreat might be a place. And God, the Father, Jesus Christ, many of the youth that I mentor are Christians. And so these are the types of things they write down, who or what, okay, they're grateful for. Now over here, as they amplify, and this only takes about 10, 15 minutes max. Why? Well, life lessons taught by my mother. How am I going to show gratitude? I'm going to have a monthly lunch appointment with my mother and express gratitude by giving her time. Or my grandfather, who passed away, maybe his patience in teaching me, and I'm going to send a gratitude letter, whether they're alive or they passed away, or I'm going to put it on file in the family record. So as they go through and they write down why they're grateful for cross-country, you love the great outdoors, you like to teach and take friends and experience cross-country skiing. You can take many images with a digital camera and organize your files as how you're going to show gratitude. Beauty is incredible when you look at the plants and flowers, and you're going to plant more every year in your garden or what have you. So as you go down through the list, you're writing down why are you grateful and how are you going to show gratitude. So as you go through and you talk about your cabin retreat, let's say, it's because we build many memories there, and I'm going to hold an annual Grandpa's Camp, which is actually how I started Grandpa's Camp 8 years ago. And of course, with deity, you can exercise faith and so forth. So this is the beginning of the exercise where everybody takes 10 or 15 minutes and writes down in detail what or who they're grateful for, why and how they're going to show gratitude. Now I'm going to share with you what you do next to help people share what they're grateful for, because this becomes the most powerful part of the exercise. So now you understand the basics of how to use this form, the gratitude amplifier. And by the way, at the end of this episode, I'm going to show you a link where you can go in and get a PDF of this. You're free to use it. There's other tools also in that link that you can use for other activities with your family. And so I mentioned that this is one of our family's favorites during Thanksgiving. So usually a few days before Thanksgiving, I try to send this out or make copies and give them to all of our grandchildren and our adult children and their spouses. Now, if not, I have them at their places when we have Thanksgiving dinner. Now, in our family, we have all of the family together for Thanksgiving dinner on the even years, and then on the odd years, we spend Christmas together because we want to make sure we don't steal from the in-laws and so forth. And so when they are all over for Thanksgiving, they have this form. They're familiar with it. And while they're eating dinner or shortly after dinner, before we let our food digest for a little bit and we dive into some of our favorite desserts, pies. My wife makes some of the most incredible banana cream pie, French apple pie that you'll ever taste. And so usually we don't have dessert for an hour or two after we eat Thanksgiving dinner. This is the time period where they fill out this form. And so they're thinking about 10 people or things that they're grateful for. And I give them categories if they, can't think of all the different areas like I showed you. And they're also listing down why they're grateful for that person or that thing. And then also how they're going to show gratitude. What is the next activity? Well, when we are ready to eat dessert, is usually when I love to do this, I have all of our family members, down to the grandkids, circle the top three, not the first three they wrote down necessarily, but the three that they would like to share with the rest of the family. Otherwise, you'll be going forever. and the ice cream will just melt on the pie if you're waiting until everybody shares until they eat dessert. And so they circle 3. So they go, well, that one, I'm going to talk about a modern day invention I'm grateful for God, or I'm thankful for this in nature, whatever it is, or grandma or grandpa or my mom or dad. And so they circle 3. Then we go around the family circle and we share. Now, this is probably one of our favorite traditions and a great payday for parents and grandparents. In our family, as I mentioned, we have 6 children, spouses, and 17 grandchildren, 3 more on the way. You can imagine when there's more than 30 of us in the room and we're all going around and sharing for 1 minute or so. So this takes, 30 minutes to an hour at least. And everybody is sharing 3 people or 3 things they're grateful for, why and how they're going to show gratitude. You can usually hear a pin drop. These are extremely special moments that matter in your family when people begin to focus on gratitude. And that's why it's one of our favorites to do as a family. If you can't do it during Thanksgiving, do it during a Christmas gathering or between Christmas and New Year's. It doesn't even have to be the last quarter of the year. I'm going to share with you next what happened when I did this with boys and girls who are homeless. They were in the boys and girls home, and what happened when we did this exercise with them. So at the campus that my wife and I volunteer and give service to on Sundays and Wednesdays, it's at what is called the boys' home and also the girls' home. These house teenagers, ages 12 to 18, sometimes they're 19 and 20 years old. About half of the population in those centers have been going through depression. Many of them have attempted suicide more than once. The other half of the population have been influenced by gangs. Some of them have shoplifted north of 125 times that they've had offenses. And so they're in there because their parents won't take them anymore, or they're homeless. You don't ask them where they live. They know you don't get it. You ask them, so where have you been hanging out lately? So when we go and do this every year, traditionally around Thanksgiving, we teach them etiquette because many of these teenagers have never even eaten out at a Burger King before. And so sometimes we've gone to high-end restaurants, but one of our favorite experiences is at the Olive Garden. And the Olive Garden gives us a special room, and they're able to order their appetizer, their entree, and their dessert. And they get to practice their etiquette skills and which utensils they use and so forth. Now, the favorite part by far is towards the end between the entree and the dessert. This is where we pass out the gratitude amplifier form. I give them instructions, and so they start to write down what or who they're grateful for. The second column is why, and the third column is how are they going to show gratitude. Sometimes their parents are there. Oftentimes they're not because they don't have a good relationship with their parents. But all of the time, their counselors are there, and they're sitting there with their mouths open like, how did you get these teenagers to even express gratitude? Because every time we've been counseling them for 3 weeks, all they talk about is what's going wrong in their life. They don't know how to focus on what's going right. You got it out of them in 15 minutes. This is the secret. So they fill this out. Now, I do the same thing. I have them circle 3 that they want to share with the rest of the group. I don't ask who would like to share. I just say all of us will share. And I start out and I share 3 people or things that I'm grateful for, why and how I'm going to show gratitude. I often tell a story or 2 about a bus driver that I was grateful for and why it was such an impactful, memorable Christmas, over 60 years ago. And how I was able to meet this bus driver. He's now in his mid-90s. And express gratitude to this bus driver that I had when I was in elementary school. Once they go around and they share one by one, you can hear a pin drop. In fact, the waiters and waitresses, they're delivering our little, hot fudge sundaes, and they don't even want to interrupt. They can tell something really special is going on. When you go around and share what you're grateful for and why, and especially how you're going to show gratitude, especially with these troubled youth. They're grateful that they have a coat. They're grateful that they've had their first experience to eat out. They're 17 years old. This is the first time they've ever eaten out in a restaurant. That they're grateful that they have a warm bed to sleep in. Some of the simplest things that most of us take for granted. So whatever setting you're in, when we do this with our employees and our staff, it has a different tone, but it always comes out extremely powerful to everybody by using the gratitude amplifier, especially the last quarter of the year because of Thanksgiving. It's one of our favorite traditions. One of my favorite people in the entire world is Dr. Russell M. Nelson, who is now, as of the recording of this video, President Russell M. Nelson. He's president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I say Dr. Nelson because that's who he was when I first met him. He performed open heart surgery on my mother in 1978. He was a world-renowned surgeon. He did a quadruple bypass. And when he was through with the surgery to save her life, my father asked him, "So about how long do you think she has?" And he prophetically said, I think she has about 7 years. She lived 7 years. We were not aware of that prediction, but then later on, he became a general authority of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Recently, he issued a challenge during the Thanksgiving period in the year 2020 to use social media to offer gratitude and express thankfulness to someone or something every single day to start sort of a flood of an attitude of gratitude. I love that challenge. And so he emphasized that he has discovered in his 96 years living on this earth that it is far better to count your blessings than recount your problems. How profound is that? So in this episode, I've shared with you one of our favorite exercises that's a family tradition, the Gratitude Amplifier. Be sure and download a copy of this. I'm going to show you how you can get a PDF of this and other tools. I would recommend that you get a free copy of this book, Entitlement Abolition, where I have several tools like this. If you go to entitlementabolitionbook.com, you pay a nominal portion towards the shipping and handling. I cover the rest of that, and I'll pay for the book, and I'll fire out a copy to you. But if you would like to simply download the PDF of this and look at other tools, please go to EA, that stands for Entitlement Abolition, eabooktools.com. eabooktools.com. And look for the Gratitude Amplifier, download a copy, and be on your way to having a profound experience with those that you care about, especially during the holiday season.